Mizkif, you probably haven't heard that name in quite some time, huh? Mizkif, the man who was with Emiru. People were at Mizkif's house every single day. If I remember correctly, I think every single night he had like at least 3 people just inside of his household. And there was a video that Ludwig made on a second account talking about how magical Mizkif's door was. He was pretty much known as the big guy for collaborators. He reminded me of the guy everybody who's had the rich parents, and then everybody used the rich parents' kid's house in order to use that in order to collaborate and talk to people. And during the time that he was bigger, before the allegations of everything that happened and stuff, the abuse allegations and stuff like that, he was kind of the known guy throughout the entire ecosystem of the streaming world. But recently, well, I think it was 2 years ago more so, he got accused of many, many things by Emiru. Emiru just said, yeah, he was abusive. I believe she said that he did unconsensual actions to her and some variety, and she wasn't okay with it. Now, this is very important. I talked about this before. He's made this whole video, right? 2 days ago, he made this big video talking about Emiru lied and stuff like that. Now, I haven't watched the video yet. I'm going to guess what's in the video, but I do want to point out my thoughts before we watch the video. I had made videos on this a lot before. I actually already went through all the court documents on stream. I already went through all the court documents on stream, and we have already determined, if you're on stream for those streams, happy to see you there, twitch.tv/SerylsTV. I want to point this out. We had already determined he did not commit SA. He didn't do that. I just want to point that out. He didn't technically commit SA by the legal definition of SA. By the societal definition of SA, 100%. But the legal definition, no. He can't be convicted of the crime because oh god, what did it say? He jumped off of her like a cat. I believe it was jumping off her like a cat. That was in the court documents. Emiru's own words said that he jumped off of her like a cat, but he did forcibly put his hand down her pants, which he admitted to. He admitted to that. And if I remember correctly, he said in his original response that he was abusive, but so was Emiru. My guess here, and this is just my guess before we get into deeper weeds of the video, is that he's going to have all the receipts and stuff like that, because it's been proven that Emiru did lie. She did get things incorrectly skewed and stuff like that. She even admitted to getting things wrong in the court filing because she was in a very emotionally distressed state. That's just going to be brought up. And now, this is the biggest issue with Mizkif, and I want to state this before we even begin. Even if this is all true, even if everything's great, because I'm pretty sure he's going to talk about how he had the worst year of his life, and how it ruined his life, and he wouldn't wish this upon his worst enemy, all this stuff, because that's his usual playbook. Here goes my issue here. People just don't like Mizkif. I feel like his friends like him, like the streamer space and things of that variety, like him for what they can get out of him, but him as a person, nobody really defended him. Nobody tried to go after Emiru or anything of that variety. Nobody did that. Because even beyond the SA allegations and things of that variety, the abuse allegations and stuff, it's the fact that people believe Mizkif could do it because they don't like him. Right? He's not a very well-liked guy. He's very rage-induced. He's angry. He's narcissistic. He's spiteful. So this was their opportunity to get rid of somebody they felt as though was already a problem. So they just don't like his personality. Even if he has undeniable proof of everything, yeah, she did this and that, and we could all agree that Emiru lied. I'm pretty sure we can agree that Emiru didn't tell the whole truth. That's just what happened. She didn't tell the whole truth. That's just reality of what it is. I think at one point, oh my god, she had deleted, or either she got a new computer and she said she wiped her old computer or something from the people at Starforge because she's friends with people at Starforge. So that was the whole thing there. I remember that specifically. I'm remembering beats and pieces of the case. But I know that Emiru is not the most honest person. So that's my thought process there. I'm going to watch this at 1.5 times speed because it's 45 minutes. So I'm going to be reacting to this live. And if you want to watch the original video, just go to his page. It's Mizkif Emiru Lied Part 1. It's the latest video on his page. So yeah, let's get right into it and let's see what he has to say.
I have the court filings with me, and today I'd like to go over them. I'm Matthew Renato, the streamer known online as Mizkif. In the court filings, my name is also spelled Mizrandino. This is about Emily Shunk, the streamer online known as Emiru, who I was in a relationship with for about 3 years. For 3 years, she was the first person I saw every morning and the last person I saw every night. She was a person who wanted to marry me and have my children. Then, about 10 months later, after we broke up, in October of 2025, on a live stream to her audience of millions, she accused me of sexual assault, stalking, and abuse.
All right, so here goes the important things here. This is the important parts. So I'm gonna say psychological and domestic abuse for sure because that's true. I don't know too much about the stalking thing. I think it was mutual on the stalking thing. I will say the harassment part and the blackmail. I will say that the essay is dicey in a legal sense, but there was threats of blackmail. Mizkif already expressed the threats of blackmail. That was a whole thing he already addressed. He already addressed that entire thing. He actually already said that he was abusive, but so was she. And he said that she was mentally abusive to him, which I'll give him that. And that she was physically abusive by throwing plushies. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he was indefinitely, without a shadow of a doubt, psychologically abusive by virtue of the blackmail and threatening her, and she felt small in many instances. So I just want to point that out. That's actually an important thing to bring up because that was something he admitted to in the court filings. Just want to point that out.
I deny those accusations completely.
Okay, that's interesting. Because in the court filings, which you have in your hand, you agreed to like two of the things, but I guess denying all of them makes it seem more palpable and more direct of a statement, I suppose. I feel as though, because you already stated that you were abusive. You already stated that. You stated that you were abusive. I'll tell you what, I think the most damning allegation, the only one you care about, I imagine this whole video is going to be saying, I didn't do the essay. I imagine that's the biggest point of contingency because that's the biggest damper in your reputation, and that just destroys complete careers. It just annihilates careers if somebody has an essay allegation. I mean, look at Cody Ko, right? Cody Ko actively did do the stuff he did. Like, all right, Cody Ko, right? You guys remember Cody Ko? I remember Cody Ko. Cody and Co. He's still getting 300,000 views 2 days ago. I mean, he still has his channel. Is he posting on his, wait, this is a side channel. Where's his main channel stuff at? I'm sorry. Cody Ko is just posting on his side channel. That's interesting. Carefully careless comeback. Interesting. Yeah, he's not on his main show anymore. That's interesting. He's just on his side channel. Okay, all right. I guess that's fair. I mean, only his dedicated fans really care about that, which would be his main filtering out fan base. He's still getting a bunch of money. That's fine. I'm not really. Again, that's just him. Anyways, I'm not gonna get on that. Anyways, essay allegations ruin lives unless you're Cody Ko, apparently. So, continuing forward.
To be clear about the setup, I am the one who went to court. I sued her for defamation, meaning for making false accusations that damaged me. A court has since ordered me to lay out, one statement at a time, exactly what she said that is false. This is me doing that, with the public court record and her own words placed next to each claim, so you can weigh it for yourself. Here's what's changed. After her October 2025 livestream, the accusation spread everywhere, and to most people, the story was already settled. I was guilty. But what changed is that in June 2026, a federal judge reviewed her request to throw my entire case out and recommended the opposite, that it moves forward. So here's the accusations that she made on stream. These are in her words as the judge quoted them. On October 2025, near the start of her live stream, by the magistrate judge on the account of the transcript, she said she was, and quote, finally going to be opening up about the psychological and domestic abuse, stalking and harassment, sexual assault, and threats of blackmail that Mizkif has done towards me, and some of these issues which are still ongoing. Under Texas law, as a magistrate judge in my case wrote, accusing someone of a crime or of engaging in serious sexual misconduct is defamation per se. In plain terms, defamation per se means that falsely accusing someone of a crime is treated by the law as damaging on its face. So the harm does not have to be proven separately. Those are accusations of crimes. I deny every one of them. And the judge did not leave that standard in the abstract, applying it to her sexual assault accusation in the same opinion. She found that accusation reasonably capable of a defamatory meaning and allowed my defamation claim to move forward. If you want to find any of these readings, I'll be putting a link below where you can read everything. For the first
True, this has been up for quite some time. These court documents is up for quite a while.
time I spoke until now, my account has not changed. The same denial, the same story, the same detail. I have never had to take anything back because I have never lied. She has, repeatedly, through this entire process. And I'm going to walk you through the lies in her own filings and her words. The same filing has her calling one live stream spontaneous, unedited, and unscripted in one document, and describing a lawyer's review and prepared notes in another. It has her swearing in a footnote that we did not get back together, while 2 months of her messages say that we did. It was her announcing a restraining order in 2 states that she never filed.
I feel like we should read these because it's kind of important. Sadly, this is a comment tactic by abusers to try to justify their behavior towards their victim. So this is true. It is a common tactic by abusers to try to justify their behavior towards the victim. And I don't want to go into this against Mizkif, by the way. I want to go back on what I read before and what is happening now because he said he's denying everything. Mizkif is a mental abuse at the bare minimum. Just if you want to say like he's not a physical abuser, mental abuse is still what he's done. He's already admitted to blackmail and saying that he will have everybody go against her. He's already said that before. That's something that's already happened. Like that's just a thing that this is common that he's done. That's just a regular thing.
2 months of her messages say that we did. It was her announcing a restraining order.
I also want to say so people know that I'm not trying to put this out there, and then I'm in the process of filing. Yeah, it's the whole thing.
In 2 states that she never filed. Those are not differences of memory, they are lies, and the records are right here. The first thing that people told about me were that he admitted to everything. I never did.
Okay, all right, hold up a second. I now have to. I feel as though maybe we should listen to Mizkif's. This is like the whole 39-minute thing. He did in this one right here. He admitted to pretty much everything. It was like a point in this video where he was crashing out like crazy. Yeah, in this video specifically, I can't find the direct part, but he was kind of crashing out like crazy about this whole thing and admitted to everything. I don't know the exact part. Okay, I found it. It's in regards to the stalker stuff. He's talking about how he has to defend her from stalkers, which is a very huge issue, but this is part of the thing that he used that as a method of control. And I just want to point out that this is his own words. This is what he said before.
I know I wasn't perfect with my language or tone throughout this entire relationship. I know I wasn't. And I was aggressive at times. In regards to being controlling, I told her many things. I told her to dress older, to stop wearing pajamas, to stop talking about stalkers and schizos as a whole, stop talking about past relationships, and yes, I didn't want her to travel without me. I also said that I didn't want her to hang out with specific people. This is because I didn't want her to get hurt. I didn't want Emmy to get assaulted. I didn't want some man to do something to her when I'm not there, and I wanted to keep her safe. And I know with how my mental was and who I was back then that I didn't do everything right. I know I could have done better, and I'm sorry. I know I was controlling, and I should have just ended the fucking relationship, but I was so confused as a person. And I'm sorry I did it. I'm sorry things got to this fucking point, man.
So he admits he was controlling in this statement, and the control is a form of psychological abuse. Like that's part of the allegations. You deny all of them. I know I'm harping on one point, but to deny all of them at blackout is a little bit insane. And then this somewhere, I'm not gonna try to sign through and find anything. You also admitted to the blackmail part. Like this is like 2 things you admitted to already in this.
The last 9 months of this relationship, things got extremely fucking toxic. I told her to move out. She didn't move out on her own. I told her to move out because I wanted space, but she still wanted me around at all times. She would get upset if we didn't sleep together or if we weren't around.
So that's codependency because she only knows your love. That's like codependency 101, and that's kind of what happens in codependent relationships, especially what happens to victims of abuse. They kind of get Stockholm syndromed into loving the abuser. It's like a very common thing that happens. That's very common. That's a very realistic thing because that's the only love they know. They don't know what to do outside of the abuse. They just want the person again. That's kind of what happens.
She always wanted me to drive over to her house, but I never wanted to because I wanted to be alone. And that increased our fights. But the stalkers continued, and I got even more stressed. They started to take pictures of me whenever I would drive to her house. Sorry. They knew my every movement. I couldn't take it. Between the rabbits, the stalkers, and the overall ability to handle situations with each other, I knew this wouldn't last. But I didn't know how to get out of the relationship. She did not want to move out. As for me telling Cheddar to leave my house, he was swatting at Chompy constantly and making him bleed. I not only was the one that wanted her to move out first, I was the one that wanted the cat out of the house because he was attacking my cat. Every month went by the last year, and our fights started to get louder. We were breaking up with each other almost weekly. Fights were getting more aggressive, and shouting began to increase. I was not perfect, and I reflect on those situations with poor taste of myself. I'm ashamed that the situations got so bad, but Emmy was also violent. She would throw clothes or plushies at me, and I punched holes in the walls or slammed doors in aggression. I one time did say I was going to kill myself during an argument, but Emmy did this as well numerous times.
Okay, so like you're both bad, right? Like both of you were bad. Like right? I can say that both people in the situation are bad. Like you that's like a form of abuse. Like that's more of psychological mental abuse. Like even outside of the physical stuff where you punching holes in walls, stuff like that, you admitted to the abuse and now you're saying you didn't. So like you lie too. You both lie. You both lie. I'm getting back to your response. Because I'm not misremembering a goddamn thing.
And I never moved off my own story. The first thing most people heard about was not that the accusations itself, it was that I had gone on my own stream and admitted to all of it. This is false.
We just I'm just gonna keep going.
I denied these claims from the beginning, and I've said that in the same thing every day since.
No, you just admitted to you just admit we just watched it. We just watched you.
Almost no one listened to my side.
I've watched that live stream, the 40-minute live stream where you went live for like less than an hour, so many times. I must be almost no one, man.
Before I went live, Emiru went live first. She told the world that I sexually assaulted her, abused her, and stalked her before I had a single word in my defense. I deny those accusations completely. The word that came next, rapist, came from everyone who heard her and ran with it. The verdict was in before I even said a single word. And when I did go live, I told my side and I've stuck with it word for word to today. She has not. She has done exactly one live stream. And across that single stream, her story does not hold together. It has contradictions that are laid out in the sections that follow, in her own filings and her own words. One account has never changed. The other keeps changing. So why does the false version that I admitted to everything still win? That's because almost no one watched either stream in full. People pulled small clips from my about 30-minute response, cut away the context, and wrapped their own narrative around it for views and for clips. And the reach was never close to her. So in Emiru's filing, her motion calls it spontaneous. Her own transcript has her describing a lawyer's review and prepared notes. In her motion to dismiss, her attorney describes the stream this way in regards to the sexual assault. The live stream was spontaneous, unedited, and unscripted, speaking openly and vulnerably in the moment. In her declaration, she states the filed transcript of the live stream is accurate, a true and correct copy. And she says at 18 minutes and 5 seconds into that stream, I have been in contact with my lawyer. I had them review everything that I'm planning to say.
Interesting.
Today. And across that same broadcast, she keeps refuting to how prepared she was. It was not just on a whim, she says. I took a lot of notes. I just end up reading off my own notes. So my attorney puts it in court directly. Shunk should not be heard now to argue that her defamatory comments were some off-the-cuff, spontaneous, emotional response, when she specifically stated that not only were her comments thoroughly planned out and scripted, that they were in fact reviewed by counsel in advance to the live stream.
Yep. So she lied right there. That's just a factual lie. That's just a straight up lie. Which is I'm not gonna give her any credit or anything. She straight up lied. Like, that's just a lie.
So her brief on the stream was spontaneous and unscripted. Her own filed transcript has her saying a lawyer reviewed and it read from notes. Both are her words. In the same case, they describe the same 90 minutes two different ways. The sexual assault allegations, she called it sexual assault. Here's what she said happened and what I did. She told her audience and later the court that what happened between us on one night was sexual assault, a crime. She named it on the live stream, where she made her own other accusations. Then she went over what she says happens that night. These are her own words, as quoted in my complaint. He started kissing my face and I let him do it. And then suddenly he tried to climb on top of me and aggressively shoved his hands down my pants. And I screamed. And when I screamed, he jumped off of me like a cat.
I remember this specifically, and I say it, the only part that stood out to me was the aggressive part, and the fact that he jumped off and stopped was important because he seems to be the kind of guy that wouldn't just do something in that variety. He's a jerk, he's narcissistic, he's egotistical, I'll give him all that, and there's a big reason why his friends don't vibe with him, but I believe him completely about this part, and it's in this one instance, right? It's specifically this one instance that is continually brought up about his essay part, and people didn't want him to be up with this, but people took this part and kind of ran with it, and I said it was very unfair that people took this specific part and ran with it, which is not fair to Mizkif in any capacity. Despite how egotistical and narcissistic and prideful and arrogant he is, this part is just not true. I'll give him mental abuse any day of the week, but this part is just, he stopped. Like, he genuinely stopped. I remember the jumped off like a cat is very, very, very important.
Here's what I have to say about that, plainly. I did what any man should do in the situation. She made it clear that she didn't want it, and I stopped. I respected her not consenting. I did the right thing in that situation.
I agree. That's just a factual statement.
And look closely at her own account, because on the thing that matters the most, it agrees with me. The moment she reacted, I stopped. When I screamed, he jumped off of me, like a cat. As her words, not mine. I did not push past her. I did not ignore her. The instant I understood that she was not okay, I stopped. I did not sexually assault her and deny it completely. Here's word for word from the transcript filed. In this case, is what I exactly said on that stream. This was never a confession, and it was denial. And I wrote, I knew the relationship wasn't healthy at this point. I knew we had to end it soon. Emmy posted a very provocative picture, one that she knew I would hate, and she posted it to make me upset. She admitted she made me upset with it, and we got into a heated argument after I broke up with her. We broke up for about a month. Then we got back together because we thought we could make it work. We went to get food at BJ's, a common place where we would get food. And then we went back to her house. We cuddled for about 30 minutes and we started to kiss. She said that she was okay with it on her stream, and I started to advance to the next stage because I thought that's what she wanted. She yelped, and I immediately sprung up and was scared if I did anything wrong or did wrong in general. I got scared and left the house. So why does this false version that I admitted to everything still win?
Okay, so it's more so you admitting to the abuse part, right? I feel like I'm switching up a little bit here. The essay part, I already said that part was dicey overall, and in like the, how do I phrase this? The mental sense of where her mindset was, It's that part, the aggressive part. That's the only part that really stands out to me in any capacity. That's it, right? But because that's now on the internet, and this should have been, I feel like this part should have been dealt with between the confines of the relationship, and Emiru shouldn't have released the whole thing about it in this capacity. And she could have been also scared because you did admit to saying that you were going to blackmail her. She was probably scared she was going to lose her connections. So she kind of struck first, is kind of what happened here. Despite the fact that you were being respectful and not doing anything for 10 months, that fear still probably lived and predicated in her mind. Now, I think you both suck. Just want to point that out. Emiru sucks and you suck. You suck for completely different reasons than Emiru sucks. Emiru is, I don't know, a little bit racist, a little bit edgy, a little bit ridiculous, a little bit like nasty as a human being overall, and just a little bit of a, oh my god, like a performative racist e-girl, if I could be so bold to say. That's how I feel about Emiru. You are just a narcissist and a small little man who sadly had your life destroyed and ruined, and I think you deserve your platform back overall, realistically, so far. Like, I genuinely feel like Mizkif deserves his platform back because he was organizing a lot of events and people really vibe with him. But it really is telling of your character, or at least how people like you or view you in private, how nobody was defending you. Like, nobody was defending you, and they took Emiru's side. It really goes to show how you are as a person that we don't see online, that nobody, I mean, no one really vibe with you. Is kind of crazy, man. That's nuts.
I'd also like to make it very clear that up until that moment, Emiru and I had been dating for over 3 years. We did break up for about a couple weeks, but we immediately got back together. And through the past last year of our relationship, we were constantly breaking up with each other, and then we would repeatedly have sex and get back together. So this is just one of those moments. To date, there is no evidence of a police report or any other legal action over the incident she alleges happened around October 2024, despite her public statements in October 2025, where she said to her audience that she was seeking a restraining order.
I am already in the process of filing a restraining order on him in both Texas and California.
20 months have now passed since the alleged incident without a single criminal complaint, restraining order, or investigation appearing in any record in California or Texas.
That's the funny, I mean, this is like the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. This is hilarious. Mizkif just hit her with the, hey, where's that restraining order at? Hit me with it, go crazy. Funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. High key, hilarious. That's funny. That's funny on paper. I'm gonna file a restraining order. Oh, really? Where? That's funny.
The only active case arising from any of this is my defamation lawsuit that I brought against her. The total absence of any official action over a year and a half stands in stark contrast to the severity of what she accused me of. When she finally did raise it, a full year after the date, she points to, it was not to the police. It was an audience of millions on a live stream. This is the reason she gave for going live. I felt like it was a necessary stream because I have heard that he has done things to other people that align with some of my own experiences, so I felt like it would be wrong for me to keep holding on to all this information. And here is what does not fit an assault. We kept dating for months afterward. Her own messages, laid out in the next 2 sections, show her coming over, cooking me dinner, asking to sleep together, calling me babe, messaging me,
I should read these.
show her
Hey, my uncle died. Just got here. I'm sorry. Do you want to come over if you want this? Yeah, okay. I'll head there soon. Going to bed. Getting ready. Yep. Big up, my uncle Jim died. I know way to bring it up. Way to bring it up. I mean, he was sweet. Hope your friend was okay. Yeah, he was a nice man. Can I call you later? Will you
coming over, cooking me dinner, asking to sleep together, calling me.
Do you want to come over? Are you all right? Come over when it's done. I'll pick up your car. Let me know when you're done. I can come back over. Your flight safe. Okay, Merry Christmas, babe. I see. I mean, I'm not gonna defend Emiru here in any capacity. They were broken up and still saying babe. That's just that's kind of a manipulator tactic right there. That's bar for bar a manipulator tactic. That's kind of funny. It's messed up and evil, to be quite honest with you. Especially thinking the relationship's over and you're saying, "What's up, babe?" Bada bing, bada boom. You could argue, "Oh, they were together for so long. Oh, this is crazy. They were together for so long," which is this is not smart. But I don't think anybody's gonna watch Miska's video, so I feel like it's important to point it out here that Emiru is indefinitely manipulating Mizkif, right? He's just manipulating Mizkif, like, hey, babe, what's going on? I know we're not together, but you know, still my baby. That's crazy. That's nuts.
Babe, messaging me, Merry Christmas, babe. When it ended in January 2025, I was the one who walked away, and she is.
Oh, a second. Wait. Merry Christmas, babe. December 25th. Okay.
Merry Christmas, babe. When it ended in January 2025.
Okay, so that's later. I probably will be out. I want to give you my Christmas presents. I got a haircut. You look nice, very handsome and cute. Okay.
I was the one who walked away, and she is the one who did not want to split up.
Interesting. Were they broken up at that point? Maybe. No, if they were together at that point, it wouldn't have been manipulative. That's just her saying things in a relationship. That's just, okay. Interesting. So you left. She was still saying baby. And okay, interesting. Not manipulative. Not manipulative. I don't believe so.
Her lawyers swore in a footnote that we did not get back together after the assault. Her own messages in the section below say otherwise. That is a lie, and in the record proves it. In court, she changed what the accusations even were. In public, Emiru called the accusations sexual assault, the crime. But once I sued her, her lawyers argued that her own words were never factually a claim at all, only her protected emotional truth. She said, and I quote, "Her story is admirable, and in telling it, she is stating her emotional truth, not some statement of decisive fact." My attorneys answered that with one line. Emotional truth is not a recognized defense to defamation in Texas.
Talk to him.
And this is not just my side spin on her defense. The magistrate judge, restating Shunk's own motion in her own words, described it in exactly those terms. She also argues that her statement, considered in its entirety, was an opinion or her protected emotional truth.
Okay, that's their opinion. That's fair. It wasn't really. There was no real criminal suit against you. I guess because you're suing for defamation, which is fair because you suing for defamation is the smartest route to go to because by all means, you definitely are getting cooked, getting defamed and annihilated online. You lost everything, dude. Like all of it. Brand deals, partnerships, friendships, collaborators, everything's ruined. Your whole life is cooked.
The judge did not buy it on the part that matters the most. Vague feelings about a relationship can be protected opinion. But falsely accusing someone of sexual assault, the judge held, is different because those words can only mean one thing, that I committed a crime. She found exactly that about Shunk's accusation. Considering the gist of Shunk's statement, which included allegations of sexual assault, the court finds that it was reasonably capable of a defamatory meaning. He plausibly pleads a claim for defamation against Shunk based on her allegedly untrue statement that includes allegations of sexual assault.
This is actually really definitive against I remember I read this and I said, yeah, because the essay claims got denied. So it's really just he was abusive, realistically, which he already admitted to being abusive. So there's that. A lot of people, me included, at some points, kind of ran with the fact that he said he was physically angry and punching holes in the walls as proof that he could have done worse overall because of those other things. So that's also a part of contingency there. But I guess that's fair. I'll admit when I'm wrong. 100%. But I guess everybody thought he was just SAing her, but my biggest thing was the mental abuse and the blackmail. Those are my two biggest things overall.
So here's where it stands. She told millions of people I sexually assaulted her. She has never produced a police report. We dated for months after that, the night that she points to. And when I took her to court, her own lawyers argued those words were not a factual accusation.
I hope somebody else bigger than me reacts to this, man. Either my video gets big or somebody else reacts to this. I don't know which one, but man, this is not looking good for Emiru right here. I don't think anybody's gonna care though. I don't think anyone's gonna care. I really don't think anyone's gonna care.
But her feelings, her emotional truth. The federal magistrate judge recommended that my defamation claim goes forward on exactly that statement, and in her exact words, found it reasonably capable of a defamatory meaning. Her filings say we never got back together. The messages from those months say otherwise. In her brief reply, her lawyer stated in a footnote, for clarity, Shunk and Mizkif did not get back together after the assault. Sadly, this is a common tactic by abusers to try to justify their behavior towards victims. But on her own live stream, she described that same breakup as nothing more than a short period. A short period is a brief break, and then we got back together. So let me be exact about the timeline, because this is where people have gotten confused. According to Emiru and her lawyers, we broke up in October 2024, and they told the court that we never got back together. Every message below is after that. On November 18th, I told Emiru that she can come over, and she said, is it okay if my alarms go off at 10, LOL? I said, sure. On December 16th, I asked if she wants to come over, she tries to call my phone. On December 18th, she makes me salmon for dinner. When I tell her my uncle died, she asks if I want to come over, and she does. On December 21st, she asks to come shower at my place. Can I still come over tonight? Because she wanted to sleep with me. You know how you said my shower was cold? Obviously, I was at her place. My hot water completely is out now. I want to shower at your place. I'll just get up early again. I said yes. On December 25th, Christmas, she said hi, and then Merry Christmas, babe. This does sound like a couple that is broken up. On December 30th, 2024, we sleep together. Me, okay, I'm going to bed. Emiru said, okay. I then said, I'm just getting ready. Emiru said, do you want to sleep together? I then said, yeah. Keep in mind that a lot of the calls that we would have with each other are not shown because we called each other every single day, as we slept with each other every single night. January the 15th to 18th, I call her babe in a text. Her filing said that we did not get back together after the October 2024 breakup, as she describes. These are her own messages from November, December, and January, all after that date. The filing and the messages describe two different relationships. Our next point, she also says that she ended the relationship. But here's what actually happened the morning I walked out. We were together on and off for 3 years. A relationship we kept hidden from almost everyone around us. But near the end, we broke up, we got back together more times than I can count. I wanted space, and she wanted to move closer. I told her I wanted her to move out, and that I wanted space, and it was a line that never healed. The week of our official breakup in January, we had agreed to finally sit down and each say what we wanted for the future. We slept at her house. On the morning of January 23rd, 2025, she handed me a note. And in it, she wrote that she wanted to marry me, that she wanted to build a life and move into an apartment right next to me.
I'm very curious about the statement of them getting back together. I'm kind of very curious about that specifically. I'm more curious about that than anything. Finding this would be hell. I'm not gonna lie to you. Finding this would be complete hell throughout all this right now because it would suck. There's so much court filings too, and it's all PDFs too. I'm more curious about that. The transcript of her live stream, her sworn declaration, her motion to dismiss, her reply to the judge's report, the transcript of my own live stream. Man, I'm kind of curious about. I can't control F this, can I? Can I control F back together? Want to get back together. Thought someday reconnect. Man, I don't know. I can't. Maybe I can look up. Did not offer anything. How many times did not pop up? When it talked about did not really happen. The lock did not work anymore. I did not want to contact him. I did not want to do this. All right, so this is interesting. This is interesting. I can't really find exactly where it's at, but I guess that's not the most important thing. But we can keep going.
Because she knew how much I needed my space. And I looked at it. I looked at her, and I handed it back to her. I told her, I can't do this anymore, and I'm sorry. And the last thing I heard as I was closing her front door, and she said, don't go. This is who ended it. So in my complaint, I said he called off the relationship in January 2025. So to be exact, the exact date that our relationship ended was on January 23rd, 2025. I left Austin in early February, first for Japan, and the move to Los Angeles came afterwards. After 2 trips overseas, the day by day in the timeline is going to be shown. These messages are showing with me and at one point my best friend, Extra Emily. So Extra Emily knew that I wanted to break up with Emiru for a long time. And these messages are on the exact date that I broke up with Emiru on January 23rd, 2025. I messaged her and I said, bitch, I did it. I ended it. Emily said, shut up. No way. I'm free to call whenever. I said, are you streaming? And she said, not until Saturday. And then I messaged her and I said, okay, I'll call in 5. The conversation didn't end there. 2 days later, on January 25th, it was Emiru reaching out to talk things over with Extra Emily. And Extra Emily had already heard from me that it was over. So this is January 25th, 2025. Extra Emily says, okay. And then she says, she texted me to talk. I'm pretending like you didn't tell me the news. Okay, I'm talking to
You're all snakes. You're all snakes to me. You're all snakes.
her on the phone soon. I then said, are you streaming tomorrow? And she said, no. So if this doesn't prove that Emiru is lying, that who broke up with who, I don't know what does. So now we're gonna move on to the stalking allegations and where I actually was. On February 2nd, 2025, about 10 days after we broke up, I flew to Japan. The reason why I flew to Japan is that I knew if I stayed in Austin, that we were just gonna get back together and get in the same loop that we had been in for almost a year. On February 21st, 2025, I came back to Austin and stayed about 3 weeks. This is when my friend Simply had a party, which is the one that she ties to stalking, was on February 23rd, 2 days after I landed, about a month after we broke up. On March 16th, 2025, I flew back to Japan and stayed there for nearly 2 months. On May 12th, 2025, I returned to Austin for about 2.5 weeks. And in May 29th, 2025, I moved to Los Angeles. Stalking means being near someone and contacting them when they don't want it. For most of the year after we ended it, I was on another continent and then in another state. I put distance between us deliberately, more than once. And on my own stream, here is what I exactly said about it. That week, I made flights to Japan because I didn't want to sit around and wait, possibly get back together again. I have never talked to her in person since. I have been removed from OTK Discords. I did see her at a party once at Simply's house, one of my close friends. The house was very small and I opened the door. I said, whoops, I want to make it very clear I was not following her. It just happened that I was with someone she knew the entire night. The house is about 2,000 square feet with about 50 people. I, of course, was near her, but I was never following her. The specific incident she calls stalking is a party. Here is how she described it on her own stream from the certified transcript she filed herself. I made the mistake of thinking that I only had to cut him off through personal private communication, but I also had to start avoiding going to the same parties or places I was worried he'd be. There was a party that I attended. I was aware that he would be there, and I thought it wouldn't be a big deal. We're adults, right? During this party, I felt like he was following me around and monitoring me, but I thought that that was just being paranoid. About 30 minutes later, the room that we're in, the door opens, it's Miz. He opens the door, makes eye contact with me, goes ooh, and closes the door and leaves. That is the entirety of her stalking.
So, and that's I guess it's fair on both accounts, right? Because on his line, he's like, we're in the same party. That's fair on his. And then on her account, it's I have a bunch of stalkers and I'm paranoid about everybody. I already have stalkers that I deal with, and Miz just became something like that as well. So I guess it's really just the one instances with Emiru when it comes to a lot of this stuff. One instance of SA, one instance of stalking, and that just got exacerbated to a multitude of it happening over and over again because nobody really read through the court documents because nobody likes reading through court documents. I didn't like reading through it on stream. It took me 4 hours to do it because people just kept stating their own opinions and stuff while they weren't reading the actual things right in front of their faces. So that's a little annoying, and I can very much empathize with exactly that. That's just fair.
Allegations. Read in her own words, This is obviously not stalking. She was never cut off. She says that she cut me off through personal private communication, but she controlled the contact. She didn't block me, and on her own stream, she showed messages proving that I could still reach her. Choosing not to answer someone while never blocking them, while leaving every channel they could use to reach you wide open, and while showing no sign that you want them to stop is not the same as being stalked. She also knew that I was going to be there. In her own words, she was aware that I would be there and chose to attend the same party. Going somewhere you knew the other person would be at is the opposite of being followed. She also says that she felt and thought she was paranoid. She does not say I actually followed or monitored her. She said that she felt that way and twice told her audience that she thought she was just being paranoid. And lastly, I opened the door and I left. Her one concrete moment is that about 30 minutes later, I opened a door, saw that she was inside and said, ooh, and walked away. Stalkers follow you. They obsess over you. They don't open a door at your friend's party and walk away. This is the entire firsthand account in her own filing on the strength of it that she listed stalking among the crimes she accused me of. If I was stalking her, I would be the worst stalker on the planet. I left the country for months immediately after we broke up, flew to Japan twice, and moved across the country shortly after I returned.
I'm kind of curious. Did she file that you stalked her against her, or was it just a statement on her stream? Realistically, I don't think anything was filed against you with essay or anything of that variety or abuse claims. I think it was you now suing for defamation because she made those statements public, which was more so an attempt to defame you, which seems to be the proven case of what's happening here, that this was an attempt to wildly defame you. And it's working. I mean, you are defamed. You are. That's horrifying. I'm sorry for you, buddy.
That is the behavior of someone pulling as much distance possible between themselves and the other person, not following them. And while she was calling me a stalker in front of millions of people, she was quietly making the rounds through the community, going from person to person, behind my back, spreading a version of events I had no opportunity to answer. Emiru also claims on her own stream that she filed a restraining order in 2 states. Emiru said, and I quote, I'm already in the process of filing a restraining order on him in both Texas and California. A restraining order is a public court record. It is not in her motion. It is not in her sworn declaration. It is not in her first reply. She has not produced one or any as of today, roughly 8 months later. After she announced it, there is still no restraining order or protective order of any kind against me that has appeared in Texas or California. My own attorney has received none. And the people who follow the case closely, watching for any filings of any type, have also found none. And the timing is the whole point. In both states she named, an emergency order is built to be fast because it's meant for people in real danger. In California, a judge can grant a temporary restraining order the same day you apply, with a full hearing set just 21 to 25 days later. In Texas, a judge can grant a temporary ex parte protective order the same day on a finding, a clear and present danger, with a hearing within 14 days. Someone who genuinely needs protection can have a temporary order in hours, not months. She said that she was already in the process in October 2025. 8 months later, there is nothing. She also told her audience that my lawsuit was a bluff, that I couldn't win. In nearly the same breath, she predicted that I would sue her and waved it off in advance as meaningless. She put, and I quote, I would not be surprised if he tries to sue me for the stream that I did today and for coming out about him. Not because he thinks that he would win, but for PR reasons, like a slap lawsuit. Interesting. So on camera, she was sure of 2 things. A restraining order was already on the way, and that my case was baseless. It was a PR stunt that I couldn't win. Neither of those things have held up. There's been no restraining order or protective order that has ever appeared in Texas or California. And the judge who reviewed her motion to throw my case out recommended the opposite.
Say what you want about Mizkif, man. He's kind of cooking. This man's kind of cooking right now, high key. He's high key cooking right now.
That moves forward. She told her audience I could not win. The court let me proceed. So here's the part that she leaves out about the party. Simply, whose party it was is one of my closest friends. We lived together for years. And at the time, we were going through our both breakups and dealing with our own problems. When I got back from Japan, he is the one who invited me. I was not there to find her. While Simply was giving me a tour of his house, I opened the door, I saw 4 OTK members sitting there in the corner, and closed it. That is the whole opening the door moment that she describes as me stalking her. I want that to sink in, that is what she described as stalking. Moment she describes a tour of my best friend's house is me stalking her. In my own text from that night, prove it in real time. I messaged Extra Emily asking why everyone was upstairs, what the group in the corner was about, and what was going on. I thought that they were making another version of OTK, and I got worried. And Extra Emily just told me to basically not worry at all. That was it. And she somehow labeled that as stalking. In May of 2025, 5 months after we broke up, I sent her a long message by her own account on her own stream. She received it and sat with how to respond until her friends told her it had to be AI. She said, and I quote, I had someone send me a massive apology message and I wasn't sure what to respond. I showed a couple of friends and they were like, this is literally ChatGPT.
I had someone send me a massive apology message, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to respond, so I showed a couple friends and they're like, Emmy, this is literally ChatGPT. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm not responding.
You could put it back into ChatGPT and be like, is this?
Yeah, no, they did, and ChatGPT said it's probably ChatGPT.
This is obviously about me because we were in a relationship the entire time that ChatGPT has existed. This was months before she even went public with an accusation. You do not consider how to respond to the person you say sexually assaulted, abused you, and stalked you. The only thing that stopped her was that her friends decided that my words were too well written to be mine. Think about that. I would like to now talk about the abuse claim that Emiru.
Interesting. That's very interesting. This is real specific. This is going to the deep dives and the throws of everything. That's real specific. I like that. He's really thought about this, to be quite honest with you.
Tried to hint at on her stream. Here's the truth, in my own words. I have never hit Emiru. The one physical thing that ever happened was an accident. I had a habit of tossing my phone onto my bed, and one time it bounced off the mattress and caught her in the eye, and it left a bruise. I felt terrible about it. I apologized immediately. I stopped throwing my phone that day, and we moved past it. That is the only time I ever hurt her, and it was not on purpose. What makes that more than just my word is that, at the time, her own account matched it in 2022.
I'll agree that you didn't physically hurt her, but you did say you punched holes in the walls. Are you gonna bring up the holes you punched in the walls? Because you did say that in the other statement, which we kind of saw the other statement where you said you punched holes in the walls, and here we would
Chompy constantly and making him bleed. I not only was the one that wanted her to move out first, I was here and our fights started to get louder. We were breaking up with each other almost weekly. Fights were getting more aggressive and shouting began to increase. I was not perfect and I reflect on those situations with poor taste to myself. I'm ashamed that the situations got so bad, but Emmy was also violent. She would throw clothes or plushies at me, and I punched holes in the walls or slammed doors in aggression.
So like yeah, you punch like that's not physical abuse towards her. It's more so just being an angry man. I think that's just being an angry man and showing your anger in full display. So there's that, and that I wouldn't consider that physical abuse. To be honest, I wouldn't consider that physical abuse. I would consider that just anger overall. So there's that.
When she had the bruise, she did not call it abuse to anyone. She called it an accident both publicly and in private. In Emiru's best friend at the time's chat room on August 11, 2022, surrounded by all of Emiru's close friends and even her brother, she said the same thing. When a friend asked her directly whether something had given her the black eye, she answered that it was not intentional and called the whole thing a funny story that she would explain later. Verbatim, did someone knock you out, Emily? Emiru said, not intentionally. I got a black eye a week or two and it's finally almost gone. It's a long story, but funny as fuck. LOL, I'll DM you later. There was never a police report. There is nothing in any record from that time that treats this as an abuse, in calls, text messages, or anything that me and Emiru had. It was not called intentional abuse until 3 years later when Emiru went live. The bruise never changed. The story about it did. I will also have more messages about this as my lawyer lets me show, proving that this was never abuse, and Emiru has changed the story of it to fit her narrative to make people think that I am a monster.
Hey, I'll give you that. That's all. I'm happy you proved that. That's just having proof of those things and doubling down on the proof. That's just important. That is high key important. Very much important.
Emiru has accused me of sexual assault, stalking, and abuse. These are all crimes. In the time since, there's been no arrests, no criminal charges, no prosecution, no police complaints against me have surfaced anywhere in this case. On January 15, 2025, the federal magistrate judge has said to the district judge, the Honorable Robert Pittman, that she would deny defendant Emily Beth Shunk's motion to dismiss the First Amendment complaint. The order in which Mr. Dino is to submit a more definitive statement within 30 days identifying each statement by Shunk he alleges to be defamatory, including the exact quotes from her live stream and how each statement is untrue and how it harms him. So what this essentially means is that Emiru's motion to dismiss did not go through, and that we are continuing the court case. That recommendation still goes to the district judge for a final decision, and that same recommendation is why this record exists. The court told me to spell it out one by one, exactly what she said that I allege is false, and how it harmed me. This is what I'm doing. It is the court letting my case move forward, not a verdict, and I won't describe it as one. To much of the internet, I'm a rapist, I'm an abuser, and I'm a stalker. None of that is true.
I'll give you mental abuser and blackmail so far. Everything else I'll give you didn't do, but I'll definitely give you mental abuse and blackmail for sure. I give you being an angry man. Your worst crime so far is being an angry man and being unsafe is what I got from you so far. That's what I got. That's kind of what I decided, I think 8 months ago when I was reviewing this, is that you're just an angry, narcissistic a-hole, realistically. And that's kind of the thing people liked you for. And that's kind of just your entire personality, it seems. It's just kind of your friends don't like you. And now it's coming back on you because your friends don't like you. You don't have any close friends that actually would defend you or at least try their best to help you out in this entire situation. I guess really, and also it's like a pretty girl is accusing you of a bunch of stuff. So you're kind of getting cooked. So that's kind of sad for you, buddy.
And that is a version of me posted under every video I make and handed to people who used to watch me. People I worked with and people who have never met me. It has cost me my reputation that I've worked 10 years for. It has reached my family, it has reached my friends, and it has hurt my work directly. Making content, getting sponsors, and using the platform I spent years building, the same community she built her following on. And it did not stay online. At multiple events, I've been called a rapist. And at one event, minutes after I picked up a wristband, 3 security guards walked me out in front of everyone, and posts mocking me for it reached hundreds of thousands of people. I've been called a rapist to my face, in bars and restaurants, for most of the last 8 months. And I decided to stay inside because of that. This is a girl named Meg who said, imagine being such a prick you got kicked out of the FlyQuest party after showing up uninvited. This is another tweet. LOL, Mizkif got kicked out of the FlyQuest party after getting rejected on the Partyful app. And then someone asked, what is this party? Also, what is the Partyful ALR? Thanks for ahead of time. She said, TLDR, he was rejected from an esports party, showed up anyway, and got kicked out instantly. So they tried to paint a narrative that I was kicked out and that I was not invited. I want to make it very clear. I was invited by my friend Alana. She just texted me and said go. And I have been to hundreds of parties before Emiru's allegations with no problem in any way, shape, or form. And I got texted by Alana to go to this party with my friend Jeannie. We show up. We did get wristbands immediately, and we were able to walk in. 15 minutes later was when I was escorted out. I never had a problem getting into the party. I showed my ID just like everyone else and waited in line and was immediately let in, only to be almost immediately let out. This was not a case of someone who was simply disliked. And before I left for Japan, after I broke up with Emiru, I was around creators of every kind. And when I came back, almost no one spoke to me. And while I was in Japan, Emiru went through all of my old friends and everyone that we were friends with and spread lies about me. And instead of going to the police or any legal channel, she went straight to the people who mattered the most in my life and my career. Whether out of bitterness that I was the one who ended it or for some other reason, I cannot say. What I can say is that friends stepped back, not for anything I did, but for what she told them while I wasn't in the room.
You know that? Huh. That's interesting because it's Man, that's tough. I don't have an answer to that. That's tough. Because this is a lot more complex than I thought initially. This is considerably more complex than I thought. Because naturally, I just consider you a vindictive, abusive, and narcissistic person overall. And on stream, you display that a lot. You get angry a lot. You're just fed up with everything. And that's been happening while you were in a relationship over the past few years. You've just been kind of angry over everything. You've just been wildly angry. I remember, and there's a specific clip that, and it's just a clip. It's hard to determine everything into a clip, but there was a clip of Emiru does Mario jump. It's like he does the Mario jump. It's specifically this part. It's this.
Why are your settings like this? These aren't even the default settings.
It was this clip, and then I believe afterwards he like snatched the remote. It's moments like this. It's moments like this where it's strange. It's very strange, and I don't. It's the crazy part. I don't hate Mizkif. I just find him reprehensible because of his anger. I believe his anger is very reprehensible as a human being. And I think anger is a very healthy emotion, but the way he displays his anger is very just nasty. Very, 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 very nasty. But that's neither here nor there overall. I'm pretty sure she was spreading lies about the guy, to be quite honest with you. If he was already known as an angry person, it wouldn't be that hard to spread a bunch of lies about him, to be quite honest with you. I don't trust Emiru, and I don't like Mizkif. So here goes the thing, right? You see what I mean? I don't trust Emiru, but I don't like Mizkif. I'm willing to believe Mizkif, though, on a lot of these things, because Emiru is very untrustworthy.
And the harm was done before I even said a single word. People watched Emiru's live stream and came almost immediately to every place you can find me and said that I was a rapist and destroyed my name. A false story then took hold that I had admitted to everything when I hadn't. When I spoke, I denied everything, and you can see it on my YouTube channel. And the file transcript proves it. But people who had already made up their mind repeated the false version anyway. Her words were chosen with care. Precise enough to be legally actionable, vague enough to let an audience picture the worst. She never had to say rapist. She said sexual assault. And to the millions of people that she said that to, people now call me rapist to my face. That is the harm. It is ongoing. It is every day. And that is why this record exists.
And this is going to sound crazy. I feel as though we need another word for certain instances of assault. We need another word. And I don't want to diminish assault or separate or recategorize it, but I feel like we need, for different instances of assault, forced, aggressive, maybe. I'm not quite sure. I don't know, but it doesn't hold up legally for sure. Without a shadow of a doubt, it doesn't hold up legally.
Breakup. I was not an outcast, as many of you think. I was the center of this community. This is the opposite of the story that people now tell about me. In the year before the breakup, 2024, my house was constantly having people there.
This is important. This is actually super important. I think this is really important. If he's talking about all he was like the guy. Everybody was at this house. But as I said in the beginning, he was like the rich friend who people kind of didn't like, but had around because he already had that big of a presence.
I had 4 or 5 creators staying at my house almost every single night. I had Extra Emily, who was in the backyard doing something. I was hosting something, streaming with others, and collaborating with people across the entire Twitch scene. In the year that people tried to paint that I was a nobody, I had over 100 collaborations with other creators, and I helped lead OnlyFans, the hardcore World of Warcraft guild that had over 300,000 active people checking in on it every single day, that SodaPoppin and I ran together, which brought more than 300 creators into the same guild. And that was just a single month. In October 2024, 3 months before our breakup, I collaborated with Foosley, Pokimane, the Botez sisters, T10 Nat, Hassan, and Extra Emily. I had a boys' night with NMP, E-Rob, and my friend Dave. I went to go see all of the Game of Thrones collection before they went on auction, and I even hung out with Jason, Max, and Ron that year. I also collaborated with people like Mari, Julia, and Danny. Yes, people try to call me an outcast, but I was outcasted when I came back from Japan.
To be quite honest with you, yeah, he was kind of the guy. I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. He was doing like I remember, it's the door video. Ludwig made that door video, and it really emphasized this streamer's door. It was like this one. Did how Adore made this streamer $1 million, right? How Adore made this streamer $1 million. This 3-minute video right here that I think Ludwig took. Oh my God, did Ludwig take this video down?
The pandemic.
This one. Bro tried to copy the channel. It worked for 300 plus people to get their own. Yeah, he did. Oh my God, did Ludwig take this video? I'm not sure if I'm gonna get copyright strike by Ludwig for showing this stuff, but this was about Mizkif's door and how the door made the streamer $1 million. This is a very good video. It was how that door, you never know who could come in through the door. That was a very big part. That was like 4 years ago. This is really cool. This is really important. This was super important because he was the guy. Like he was the guy. He was the party guy. It reminds me of, if anybody's ever seen American Pie, he's kind of like a little bit like Stifler, but less Stifler. He was known as the partier. People knew where to go. He was the collaborator, central focal point. He reminds me of this other guy. I don't know if you know Matan Evan, right? Matan Evan is the guy that came up and did the Bill Clinton thing. He's like, I'm Bill Clinton. He's like, Bill Clinton, right? He even has this as his profile picture where he went up and did the Bill Clinton thing, right? Now he's doing pretty good. It's $10,000 a month, doing pretty crazy and stuff like that. It's the Bill Clinton guy, right? So he was on the books part. Name 10 books. How many books have you read? Name 10 books. So this part, this is kind of important because a lot of people don't know where this is at. Now I'm going to show you where this is at. This is a little bit of streamer lore just to give you a little bit of background about everything. You see this guy right here, this big fat black guy? His name is Neon Sniper Panda. This is Matan Evan. The famous book clips Name 10 Books Clean is because of Neon Sniper Panda. Nobody cares about Neon Sniper Panda. If you don't know Neon Sniper Panda, I'm going to show you Neon Sniper Panda. Neon Sniper Panda is the guy. He is the guy that everybody would go to. This is the person. Now, he kind of disappeared. He completely disappeared. I'm not sure how he got all of his money, but he was having John Zerka. I was at his house once. The reason I had my first computer was because of Neon Sniper Panda. Because I was on a stream with Emma Magnolia, and he was doing this E-Date stuff, and I got on stream with these people, and I talked to them. And he was kind of banking on Matan Evan for a while because he had Matan Evan, and that was kind of his pivoting point. But Neon Sniper Panda was doing stuff for a while, and he was doing this stuff for a while. Oh, that's disgusting. So yeah, that was the entire thing there. So he was like Neon Sniper Panda, but he was more known. People would use Neon Sniper Panda's house for a lot of stuff, by the way. Neon Sniper Panda was getting used by everybody in the streaming community. Nobody cared about Neon Sniper Panda. Just want to point that out. If you don't know about streamer lore, this is like deep streamer lore because I was a part of the people. I was a part of that whole thing with CuteBot and the E-Date scene. I was on Aiden Ross's E-Dates. I was on that whole stuff, so that was the whole thing there.
To show you how little of an outcast I was, these messages are between me and my friend at the time, Leslie, who is also known online as Foozly. This was November 2nd, 2024, just 2 months before me and Emiru had broken up. I was in LA, and I wanted to meet up with her, but she responded, I won't get to see you before you go, but I'm coming to Austin for OTK game day, so I'll see you in like 2 weeks, and then you can just come to LA whenever, because you'll love it here. Oh lol, wait, that's great. What was your apartment complex called? On November 4th, 2024, she then tells me her apartment number. This was someone that I once called one of my closest friends, Foozly, wanting me to move to LA as I was telling her 2 months before I broke up with Emiru that I wanted to move to LA and get out of Austin, Texas. Because I knew at the time that I wanted to end it with Emiru and move on. At the time, Foozly was one of my best friends in the scene. Her and I would talk all the time about our problems, our issues. We'd play games together. I was hanging out with her on stream constantly for about 3 or 4 years straight. And whenever we had an issue, we'd call each other. Whenever I was in LA, she was the first person I called. Foozly, whose real name is Leslie, I met her 4 years ago when I went on a girl named Catamia's stream for her subathon. And it turned into some of the most fun I ever had streaming. We became close fast. We played games together all the time. We talked constantly about content, our lives, our relationships, and sponsors. When I was anywhere near LA, she was the first person I called. And just 2 months before my relationship ended, she wanted me to move into her own building in LA. Right there with her, November 2024 text will show that the unit under Valkyries is available and come to LA whenever. I'll love it here. That is the friendship this next part is going to show you that I had. I was very close to all of these people in LA, just like I was to everyone in Austin. But I wanted to move to LA, and I knew I wanted to break up with Emiru. This next part that I'm going to show will show you what has happened to my reputation ever since Emiru's accusations. On June 18th, 2025, after texting me how excited that she was for me to come over, Foozly came to my house to hang out. She cut my hair, and I streamed it. The very next day, June 19th, is when Cutie Cinderella sent the message shown before you that Foozly had gone to Cutie asking what she thought about me. And Cutie told her her feelings and then told her to reach out to Emiru. Cutie is a dumbass and sent that message to an account that she thought was Emiru, but it wasn't. It was MEOK, who then gave it to me after Emiru made her allegations, showing you that people were my friends prior, but then once they heard Emiru's allegations, completely stopped talking to me. That is a 24-hour window between Foozly sitting in my house and excited to be there, and Cutie privately briefing her on what it is and how to think about me. After the one private conversation, Foozly stopped talking to me entirely. That friend who wanted to be there on day one of me moving to LA, that friend that wanted me to live in her apartment complex under her friend Valkyrie, was gone because she was told what to say and how to think about me. That friend who was at my house one day, who wanted me to live with her at one point, was now gone because of what she was told in a private message she was never supposed to have. A message from someone who was not even involved. Repeating claims about me that were never true. And making her doubt a real friendship over accusations I was never even given the chance to answer. About a month later, after she hasn't responded to me, I went to a 100 Thieves party with some of my friends, and she was there. And Foosley walked up to me that night and began crying on my shoulder. When I asked her what was wrong, she told me that we could not hang out anymore because of what she heard I did to Emiru. At the time, I had no idea what was going on and what people were saying about me, and I would ask her to tell me what was said, but she would say no more. I tried to reach out to Foosley afterwards multiple times, and she never responded. On June 27th was the date of the 100 Thieves party, and after crying to me for hours on my shoulder, telling me that she can't hang out with me anymore because of what she heard I did, she said, "You're okay, Miz." I then said, "Just sad the reality, but maybe whatever." I then said, "It's just so fake, the politics are fake, so much crap and so much cheating and drama, and nobody cares and they hang out, but here I am and people don't want to talk to me." I then say to her the next day, "We should talk, not drunk, off stream." She never responded. And on March 4th, to my friend Foosley, I said to her, "I hope one day we can hang out," and you can see that she lied. So you have one day where she's at my house having fun, the next day Cutie Cinderella messages her, and then she never talked to me again. This is what was constantly happening to me for about a year until Emiru came out through allegations. I was not an outcast. I was friends with every creator. I slowly became an outcast over that year as Emiru's lies were spread amongst the community, and nobody told me what was really going on. For almost a year now, I've been forced to live inside a bubble that isn't mine, and it doesn't feel real. I've been wrongfully punished and treated, and seen as a man that I am not. I've been labeled a rapist, an abuser, and a stalker. 3 words I have never been. Wrongfully attached to my name and my reputation and my community for the entire world to treat me as such. It took more than my name. It took my reputation, it reached into my family's life, and it has completely destroyed me as a person. I don't wish any of this that has happened to me among my worst enemies. There were nights it would have been easier to just disappear, to be quiet, to let the loudest version of the story become the only one. But it didn't disappear, and I'm not going to. This is not the first time, and it will not be the last time that I will address these allegations. I spoke the same way she did, and I talked about it on stream since, but this is the first time I've done it in a way with a clear head, with preparation, and every document in front of me, and every quote sourced. I spoke the same day she did, and I've talked about it on stream since, but this is the first time I've done it in this way. This is only the beginning, and I'm going to go through all of this because I know she won't, because it will prove her lies. Because the truth doesn't ask me to shout, it only asks me to stay, to stand here with these documents, with the dates, with their own words, and not look away. I'm standing up for myself, I'm standing up for people who stood by me, and I'm going to keep standing for as long as it takes. This has been the worst year of my life. I wouldn't wish this on a single soul, not on anyone, no matter what they've done to me. All I have ever wanted is for the truth to be heard, and for justice, real justice, to find its way to the surface. To my community, and to everyone who never stopped believing in me. When believing in me costs you something. Thank you. Before I go, there's just one more thing I want you to see. Just one. This whole case will be decided on evidence. The messages, the devices, the documents, everything both sides has to hand over. Under oath. I filed this lawsuit on November 3rd, 2025. By her own side's account, she knew about it November 10th. And on November 11th, the very next day, she went back on stream and told everyone, watching this, in her own words,
I got 2 new computers. My other computer is gone. I gave it back to Starforge and they wiped that shit.
I'll see you in the next video.
Oh yeah, I talked about that earlier as I actively brought that up. All right, you know what's crazy? And I feel horrible for Mizkif, to be quite honest with you, to lose everything that you built over the course of your entire life. The only resource you don't get back is your time, and that is a horrifying large amount of time to lose over what I can only surmise as to be exaggerated over just wildly exaggerated claims that have happened on his part. I think the worst I can give this man is that he is too angry and too narcissistic, and his friends are fake snakes, because that is the kind of community that breeds itself in the streamer community. I feel as though nobody wanted to defend him in any capacity at all. It is very sad that none of his friends, the people that he considered friends, would even consider just defending him at all. Nobody tried to come after him and say, hey, he might have not done that. He might have actually, nobody cared to actively just be there for him or say he didn't do it. That's horrifying. That is a very, very, very sad reality to be a part of. I'm not really a fan of that at all. I don't like that at all. I would have hoped that somebody would have at least been there for him or tried to be there for him in some capacity, or at least talked to him in some which way, but nobody was there. That's sad. That's sad. To be quite honest with you, I want to talk to Mizkif. I'd like to speak to the guy. I'd like to have a conversation with the fellow and see his thoughts about everything, because this is a very rough situation overall. Very, very rough. He's lost so much. So much has been lost from him. He's deleted everything on his channel, actually. Hold on. He's deleted everything on his channel is gone. I'm a little confused. Everything's gone or privated, which one it may be. It might be gone or privated. There's a few things here. Yes, really. 1 month ago, guess the company. I guess it's just stuff. I'm back a month ago. All right. do this to become a billionaire? I guess he was trying to make other kinds of content. I'm not really sure what any of this stuff was. Yeah, he said that he was back. I've been streaming for 8 years. He's back. I let my chat. I'm sorry. Is this even around? Oh, cool. It's unlisted. Oh, everything's unlisted. So you can click on his stuff. You can find the link. He unlisted all of his stuff. It's just kind of gone. Oh, I guess he was getting hate rated. Not even enough hate watchers. You're just a scumbag and anyone knows it. Yeah, that makes sense because people were just kind of tearing him apart. You have the media for his counter Palestine, America. Okay, never mind. I have noties on and I haven't gotten any. Mizkif, I thought you were afraid of clothes. Why are you wearing one? Why is everyone handling it? I'm just curious. What a loser. You're the GOAT. Imagine being Mizkif. Yeah, he's gonna have to do this to get his stuff back. I suppose so. Yeah, that's depressing. That's just he live finance content every day on Twitch and Kick. Is he live right now? Second channel Mizkif live. Is he live? I'm just curious. I just want to see if he's doing anything. I guess he's still posting on this channel. He's wrong. He's still posting on this channel doing finance stuff. To be quite honest with you, finance is the highest niche of all time. He's pulling my views right now on this finance channel. This is depressing. Holy, this is depressing. This is absolutely depressing. I am sorry this has happened to you, man. You're pulling my numbers, buddy. 9 hours ago. I guess I'll catch him next time he's live. But man, that's rough. That's what's wildly rough. I don't know, I probably wouldn't wish that upon my. No, I have bad enemies. I definitely wish this on my worst enemy. I would wish this on my worst enemy. I'm not gonna lie and be like, I would wish this on my worst. I would. This is the exact kind of punishment my enemies deserve. Let me know your thoughts about the entire situation. At the current moment, I kind of want to wait for more evidence to come out or for Emiru to respond. I kind of don't have an entire full thought about everything, but that's what I gotta say. He's streaming on Kick. I may be able to catch him soon. So, with that being said, I'm out. Peace. Bye.